How long is it? About 5 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends if I wrap it or not, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, a few minutes, I think. Yeah.
I'm tempted to read mine to you. Like,
You have done before. I mean, I can read mine to you if you want. It's up to you.
I don't know. I don't know. I kind of prefer on the day, I think,
All right, it's up
maybe.
to you.
But it's a bit different, me reading.
I'm going to set you up for something.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you're going to have to then see if you can live up to it later in the day.
No way. Hey, Jims.
I'm literally calling you out on it.
Jims. That is never happening. You can put that in there, okay? But I'm going to really let everybody down. And do you know what? I'm not just going to let people down. I'm going to be proud about letting people down too, right? So you can be hopeful, but it is not happening.
Listen, boy, I'm setting you up.
Listen, boy,
And you can-
so disrespectful,
You
you
can
know?
either live up to it or let people down when they're expecting a show.
Oh, right, okay, I see. This is how it ends. The day just Laney going over my head. Face first. Anyway, should we get into it?
Yeah,
What are we going to
crack on,
talk about then? Because we were chatting about, what was it? What was it again? Yes, about the coaching stuff, isn't it? Like how people kind of, like there's two different ideas which are both wrong. The whole thing of like basically I'm so strong, I know everything.
Yeah.
Or that
You
equals
can't teach me anything.
You can't teach me anything.
Yeah.
Or the opposite of that, whereas the coaches that preach but don't do it themselves, and they're both like faulty ideas, aren't they?
Yeah.
I've had it before, mate. Like I send out like freebies and stuff like that online as a way to like build trust, give value to people. I think that's probably the most authentic way you can market your business. And recently, like I was messaging a few different people and I've had a couple of responses back from like these powerlifters who are obviously really strong or whatever. And this one messaged me back. It's something along the lines of, bro, with like the explosion emoji, you know, like 3 of them. and then a few others have like messaged me like strong, like you get 2 types of people. Like I've messaged a few other strong people, like actually people like who've competed in Sheffield and stuff like that. And they've taken it happily, you know, and they're like, oh, I really appreciate it. Thank you. But then you get the other response where these people are kind of like think because they lift a certain amount of weight,
You're insulting them.
that I'm somehow insulting them, and they must know everything that there is to need to know. You know, it's crazy, mate. You get that with powerlifters. We were talking about that a lot. It's like I don't know why powerlifters are this way. You know, not all powerlifters, of course, but a lot of them. I don't know. Have you experienced that?
I can't say I've really experienced. Well, obviously not from a training point of view. Had it in nutrition once. I got called out for drinking a Diet Coke and talking about artificial sweeteners.
All right, okay. Explain.
A couple of years back, I can remember, drinking a Diet Coke on a reel or whatever, and then just went into how, like, you know, artificial sweeteners are not the devil that some people make them out to be, and how that they
I
can
remember that.
actually be beneficial when someone's dieting. It can maybe help to curb their sweet tooth and things. And this woman just went in on me. She was like, you should delete your account. She was like, you're spreading misinformation and you're going to make people like unhealthy and things. And then she was like, and look at the shape of you. She's like, do you only eat organic food? And I was like, is she paying me a compliment or is that a criticism? I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I remember that was like literally after you started posting more as well.
It was I like went in on that when I did the whole Diet Coke advert, shirt off, cracked the Diet Coke, and then started drinking it.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
Remember the days where we didn't post? Remember those dark days, you know? Like I was adamant, mate. Like I remember we were having a meeting at SOS, and Sam was like,
put more content
put more content out, and I was just like, nah, that's not me. I can't see that. And literally now every day I'm posting 3 times, you know. But it's just the way the world is at the moment, especially with what we do. but yeah, you're just open to it, you know. Like I posted one up this morning, and it was this reel. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah,
Of
people criticizing that woman doing the bench press.
That's it. Yeah, the girl doing the bench press, and like, you know, I just thought, I was like, just woke up. I was like, just scrolling for 5 minutes. I thought, you know, I'm going to go in the comment section. I'm just going to check out, because I guarantee this is a post which is just purely positive. You know, like she just broke a PR, young girl. I don't know. She looks about 14, 15 maybe. No, bench pressing, you know, and you know, okay form. Like it's not the worst form that I've ever seen. Like passable. Do you know what I mean? And it looks okay. Click on the comments and it just like all the way down, you know, just like negativity and fucking.
Well, wasn't the one, I think you highlighted the one, someone was like, I can bench more than this or something.
Yeah, like a grown man, you know, like I'm like, well done, dude. You know, like, but it's just remarkable, mate. Nobody's safe. On social media, you know, like I was saying to you yesterday, that dude that I sent the lead magnet to, mate.
Oh yeah, the yesterday.
Yesterday. And like literally, the message was something a lot like I went out my way to contact him to like send some value over to him, helpful. Like it's been 10 years roughly of coming up to the way that I think about technique in the big three. You know, of experience and all this sort of stuff. Like this 19-year-old dude that thinks he knows everything.
I thought he was. I presumed he was in his like.
No.
Like,
right,
something,
and he's like messages me back like this paragraph saying how his cookie cutter, and like the message I sent back. I know. I went in on him, didn't I?
Like we said something about with a squat. It's not a case of pick your adventure, and then you're like something about the upright row as well should be in there because he went on about sumo deadlift, didn't he?
Yeah, sumo deadlift. That's right. Yeah, something like about why isn't a sumo deadlift?
Yeah, you
haven't
mentioned sumo deadlift.
Yeah, I've mentioned sumo deadlift and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like,
what's it called? Certain grip as well. You went on about
certain grip.
Yeah,
what was it?
You talked about using certain grip, and he said,
"Should I just read the message out because it's quite funny?"
Yeah.
I'm calling him out.
Yeah,
I'm not going to mention his name or whatever. I thought it was pretty funny.
What's the grip you use? I can't think what you use in powerlifting.
Oh, bulldog grip.
Yeah,
bulldog
he had something
grip.
to say about that, didn't he?
Where is it? Let's see. Yeah, it was literally yesterday. Here we go. So. Thank you for sending the manual. I appreciate you reaching out, but it seems like a cookie cutter method. That at that point, my blood was bubble, right? Not much wrong with it, but it ignores the variety of lifters we see. Saying your knee should be right over your toes looks like it works great for you, but people's femur length varies dramatically and can benefit drastically from less of an angle. Telling people to retract their scapula works great for some people to get a better connection with the bar, but can very well lead to excessive spine flexion and excess elbow stress. Telling people to use the bulldog grip instead of introducing it as an option felt like there is something wrong with a normal bench grip with stacked wrists, and talking about deadlift without even mentioning sumo is funny, right? I do really like some of the cues you use, and using anatomical terms was a plus. Not a bad manual.
Yeah, that's a backhanded.
Oh yeah, that part, the passive aggressive. You know,
it's not.
So, but I think it could use some tweaks. At this point, my anger, right? Say if like anger levels like here, right? My anger. You know when people hit the hammer like in the pot and like it goes straight to the top. My anger's literally going ding, 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 right at the top, right? And at this point, I'm like, this guy, like, I have just gone out my way, sent you a freebie when I didn't have to.
Yeah.
And not only is it a freebie, it's a valuable freebie, you know? So anyway, you ready for this? I had some time. I clearly had too much time on my hands yesterday, right? Appreciate you taking the time to go through it. but let's be clear. When someone starts a sentence with but let's be clear,
Yeah.
you know shit's about to go down, right? This isn't about personal preference. It's about biomechanics. The squat isn't a choose your own adventure. I thought that part was
That's
pretty
good.
funny.
That was the one. Yeah.
The knee position is dictated by balance over the midfoot and efficient force transfer, not what feels right. Long femurs, adjust stance width and torso angle, not knee travel. Same principle applies to scapular retraction. Retraction and reloaded barbell is important for stability. As for the bulldog grip, it's not about stacked wrists. It's about minimizing momentum and keeping the forearm vertical to reduce inefficiencies. In sumo, that's a different lift entirely. Might as well ask why I didn't include the upright row. But hey, if you've got data proving otherwise, I'm all yours. And P.S., it's almost like I spent a decade refining this around principles rather than just individual preferences. Funny how that works. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Best of luck with your training. Dude,
Passive aggressive.
That is the longest message I have ever sent in my life.
Did you get a reply?
Yeah, and do you know what? To be fair to him, right,
Yeah.
he said, sorry if my last message seemed disrespectful. I totally could have worded that better.
All right,
so
fair
I was
enough.
like,
Yeah,
fair
yeah,
enough.
yeah.
He's acknowledged it. And I said, all good. Just keep in mind that what might seem cookie cutter to you is actually a decade of refining principles that works across the board. No hard feelings. Hope your training goes well.
It's always that's always the comment, isn't it? Cookie cutter. I've heard that so many times. It's
It's just so
but also, it's like
disrespectful.
if something works, it works. It doesn't matter if it works for 1,000 people or if it works for whatever. If it works, it works.
Well, I've
It's like-
intentionally designed this so it's around principles.
Yeah.
So that, like for instance, if I'm teaching you a squat, like you've got femurs, I've got femurs. You've got a shoulder girdle. I got a shoulder. We've all got the same structure,
Yeah.
but how that looks from one person to the next varies, right? So all that matters, and why I brought that up, is that you have a set of principles that everybody follows. But then you're flexible within those principles, right? So the problem that people have with technique is that they try and make it hyper specific.
Yeah.
And then, basically trying to get everybody to replicate everything exactly the same way. But we're all put together differently, despite the fact that we got the same structure.
Yeah.
So I've intentionally made this system so that I just talk generally about principles, and then when I look at somebody's squat or deadlift or press or bench press, I'm looking for those principles. Are you following these basic things like nutrition guidelines? These principles, right? You can't derive from the principles, and that's what I always talk about.
Yeah.
But what he wants is obviously hyper specific points. Detail, like I've
You're not
thought
gonna get
beyond
that
that.
in it. Yeah,
I've thought beyond that.
Yeah.
I was there 7 years ago, But anyway, it is what it is, mate, innit? But it goes to the point of like people, they do think that just because they lift a certain weight, that all of a sudden that qualifies them to be an expert
Yeah, have
at
the
coaching,
authority on something.
and it really isn't that way, and I think especially in powerlifting, it naturally lends itself to that, because obviously people are lifting bigger numbers and all of a sudden they think, well, hang on a second, I can lift this weight. This qualifies me to be able to talk about this.
Yeah.
And yeah, you may have a bit of a better understanding, but it could also be that you're just a genetic freak.
Yeah, of course.
That doesn't necessarily mean that you've got the smarts about it or anything like that,
No, there's some people who can, they can literally just go and lift a weight any old way and they're going to adapt and get strong, aren't they?
Right, yeah. Well, obviously you got the opposite then, as we were talking about, and we know a couple of, more than a couple, a few people, more than a few, actually, a lot of people. Well, I mean, they say one thing, but then they also don't live their life too, you know?
Yeah.
And that's equally a problem, and that's something that I've always tried to stand by is, look, practice what you preach as well,
100%. You're a product of what you coach, aren't you, and what you put out there.
But we need to get you to a 200 squat, though,
Me,
don't we?
yeah.
When's this happening?
200 kilo squat.
When's this happening?
Oh, Christ, I only just started squatting again after my my irritated hamstring tendon. So
How is it going, the squat? Because I saw that on your story.
yeah, I mean, like to be fair, I haven't squatted in. So I think the last squats I did was the first week of January, like
Right.
literally the 2nd of January, I think it was. And so then I didn't squat then again until last Friday.
Right.
And yeah, it was pretty much the same weight, and it felt really good. Obviously,
What were you doing? Sets of like what rep?
just aiming for sets of like between 3 and 5 reps.
Yeah.
just
You've
do 3
always
sets.
kept it pretty low rep.
Yeah, because like I find that allows me to increase the intensity of the load, but I can also recover fine, and I don't get any DOMs from that or anything. So I can do the other things I want to do in the week. You know,
Right,
I can
right.
sprint. I can play my sport. Obviously, I'm sure there's probably obviously like, you know, not to sound like that guy, but like obviously that's working for me, and I'm sure there's better ways. If my squat was my main focus point, you could give me a ton of ways, couldn't you, to improve that more?
Yeah.
I'm just like,
It works for you though.
This is-
Like you've been doing that for. I tried you on a low bar, didn't I, in
it's
Portugal?
just, I'm not gonna
But
buy it, mate.
everybody responds that same way.
What?
Like when I started with low bar for the first time,
Yeah,
I thought, what are people on about? Like, this just feels awful.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel right. It just feels weird, you know? And after about 3 or 4 weeks, it's always the same. People are like, yeah, I can never go back to a high bar. now.
is it?
And it was
Yeah.
the same with me, because you obviously you saw me training when I was always high bar, always. And then I was doing it, I probably high bar squatted for about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
And then I tried low bar for the first time, and I stuck with it. And then when you learn how to really load your hips properly, you just feel so tight and stable in that bottom position. And I also think as well, for sprinting specifically and getting faster, there's an advantage there too with a low bar, because you're getting those hip extensors.
I was going to
in
say,
more.
yeah. So you train the hip extension, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're probably getting a lot more glutes in that as well, are you?
Can I convince you into a low bar at one point?
I'll give it a
One
try.
point.
I'll give it a try one day. You know?
But the thing is, it'll feel horrible.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was I just remember, the amount of retraction through my scapula
Yeah.
being like this. I was like,
Yeah.
God, that, like, even before I've started the rep, that just feels unnatural.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
does.
But-
That's it. It feels weird,
Yeah.
mate. And you think, I mean, hell, this feels horrible. But you can get like you can do wrist wraps. I know you didn't do like knee sleeves or anything like that, but I do think if you do low bar, wrist wraps help a bunch.
Yeah.
They don't cost a lot. They cost like 15, 20 quid or whatever, but they just help support your wrists a bit more. And I think a low bar would be really good for you. I think if you can, but again, you've got to give her a bit of time to kind of see the benefit from it,
Yeah,
you know, and using and sitting back into your hips a bit
That
more.
was the difference as well. When I remember when you gave me that in Portugal, and I was like, so I'm used to thinking of like driving the knees down,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And then obviously, you're bending through the hips, but that felt to me more like when you're doing an RDL, like the hips
Right.
are shooting back, aren't they? You know?
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's an even, because you want to keep the bar over the midfoot, right?
Yeah.
So if the bar's lower down on your back, then if you think about it, the hips naturally have to sit back a little
Yeah,
bit
of
more
course.
to keep the bar over the middle of your foot. So, but the same principle applies. Like you want an even knee and hip break like you would in a high bar, but naturally you'll default to where the hips will come back a bit further anyway.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I bounce back between high bar and low bar. So you'll see in my training, I may do.
You go high bar when you're doing more volume though, don't you? Or not?
Yes, yeah. So in like a hypertrophy block or whatever, I'll do a high bar. Not that there's anything, you could do a high volume low bar if you wanted, but personally for me, I just think when I go into a hypertrophy block, I want to manage my fatigue. Is a big reason for that. So I pick an exercise that doesn't allow me to lift quite as much weight.
Yeah. It doesn't allow you to lift quite as much weight. Aren't you still doing like sets of 8 for 200 and something? Aren't you?
Well, I hit 220 for 4.
Yeah.
That was my I was supposed to get 6. So because for me my range is usually say 6 to 12 in a hypertrophy phase.
Yeah.
if the phase is, if I've got more time in a hypertrophy phase, well, you can afford to do like higher on that spectrum. But if the hypertrophy phase is a little bit shorter, you're looking at 8s, 7s, or 6s usually, you know. So I was at 6s, and the most I've ever done was 217.5 for 6 high bar.
217 for 6.
For 6 and a half. Don't forget the half. That's very, very important.
What's your goal that you like? Obviously, like, you know, obviously as strong as possible, don't you? Like,
Yeah.
it's like asking someone how fast they want to get as fast as possible. But like, what is your? Have you got a goal number where you're like, yeah, this will be like a landmark for me when I can squat that?
I don't necessarily like. I want to just be stronger than where I was last year. That's a big one for me. But I think for me to be, because people have asked before, like, well, are you looking at competing or something like that, you know, in the near future? And to be honest, like I've competed now, like a fair few times. So I'm not gonna compete for the sake of competing. Like if I compete next, it's because I want to win.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not gonna just do it
Take
for the
part.
experience.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
because I've done that, I know what it's all about, and I'm not of the opinion as well that you need to compete all the time to be good at competing. Powerlifting's a very basic sport. It's not unpredictable at all. Like if you get in an octagon or the ring, you fight, or there's a lot of unpredictable things that with powerlifting. It's 3 lifts, mate. You know, it's like what are you exactly getting good at? You do it all the time anyway in the gym.
Yeah.
You just have to do it to competition standards, and that's it. You know, so I don't believe in that anyway. So I think the goal for me is for me to be competitive. Like I decided I need to be probably looking at a 270 to 280 squat, probably a 170 to 180 bench, and a 290 to 300 deadlift for me to be like at that sort of level. And, you know, like amateur, I would, you know, obviously at those numbers at 93 kilos, you'd probably win. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm looking beyond that, you know, I'm looking at like a British standard, you know, maybe. So really, those are the numbers that I've got to be in my head.
Yeah.
That's what I got to be aiming for.
So is that all related to competition then? Or is there anything just that you'd be like, yeah, I just want to say that I can deadlift like whatever or squat whatever, just for your own
I know I said 300 squats, and that would be cool, but I'm not at the same time putting it like as a goal or something.
No.
Like for me, it's just getting stronger. I would like to take it to the highest level of the sport one day, and that's one thing. Like when I was interviewing Shell, you know, he was saying how, he's like, you know, he said I'm not the most natural
talented to do something, but it works super hard.
That's it. And what he meant by that is that it took him like 10, 15 years to get to the position he's in. Like nowadays in powerlifting, these freaks are lifting crazy weights in 2 or 3 years. And I'm probably more the same. Like, I think maybe he was being really modest there. Like, he is talented.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But maybe I think what he's trying to say is he's not as much as some of these other guys.
Yeah, it's
you know?
not just God given where, you know, just do whatever and you're gonna make it to the top. So
that's it.
Yeah,
and he's 38. You know, so like it's taken him a fair amount of time to get there, and that's the point. Like I can do this till I'm about 40, 45.
Yeah,
you know,
and then keep progressing.
That's my cut off, I think.
Well, are you going to stop powerlifting then, or you're...
I don't think I'll stop powerlifting. I think I'll probably still do it, but maybe do something else a bit more competitively, because I'm not going to be able to... I very much doubt I'll be able to compete at a competitive standard beyond then, because I've been doing this since I was so young.
Will you start sprinting then?
I'll probably do jiu-jitsu or something like that.
Yeah.
I can see me doing more stuff like that. You know? The sprinting, I've got some wheels on me, mate. The problem that I've got is pulling up with a hamstring tear. Like, because I've done my hamstring a couple of times in rugby, and it's a nightmare then, you know. But anyway, I don't know. We go off onto that one, but point being, coming back to the point. Somehow practice what you preach.
Yeah. But spot on, isn't it? You know that you just should be. If you preach it, you should be invested in it. That it's something you do, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a funny one though, like how people think because everybody's got an opinion on, their health or wherever it might be. So I think in our industry anyway, we have a lot of people that aren't necessarily experts.
Yeah.
The comment, on stuff like this all the time, but yeah. Anyway, I've got a bit of a surprise for you.
Oh God, yeah. What have we got?
Right. So I've planned out some questions. Right. I thought this could substitute What's New This Week. We could probably just put this as one like big episode, maybe.
Yeah.
So I've got them listed out here. This is called the deep episode.
Right. Okay.
Because we're going to go deep on this one.
All right.
And I thought they were pretty interesting questions, things that people, I don't know, might be intrigued to hear our thoughts on, right?
Yeah.
So I split it up into 3 different categories. So we've got strength and training philosophy, coaching and mindset, life and philosophy. Right, so this is very, very deep.
You've been reading the freaking book on Stoicism for ages, haven't you? So you can come out with some really.
Hey, don't put me on a pedestal. Don't set me up to fall.
You've got that
you're
book.
doing there.
There's a daily quote on Stoicism, so you're going to just come out with something really profound.
I'm
going to
stopped reading all that stuff
uneducated idiot who can't say anything.
You've read a few different, what personal development books you read? The thing is, once you've read one, you've read them all.
Yeah,
Do you know
I know.
what I mean?
There's a time back, probably 2 years ago, where everything I was reading were those kinds of books.
And me.
You go in the bookshop and you read the back, and everyone, you read the synopsis on it, and then the reviews, and they're like, whatever the New York Times says is a must read, and you think, oh, this is the one, then I better read it. So I don't know. I'm not sure. There are a few different ones, but I can't say there's anything amazing that is like, this changed my life.
Yeah.
Or my view on how I do
you read one, and then it's like they're all saying the same thing in different ways,
Because there's also a gazillion of the freaking things on Instagram.
Right.
It's not a day. There's rarely a day goes by where I don't open up my Discover feed and there's something on there like, blah blah blah. I think like this, or it's the ones, and I usually send them to you. It's like the first person that comes up when you click share will be taking you to
and it's always
Paradise
me.
Island this
and
year.
It's always
you. So
yeah.
I'm just waiting for that free holiday now.
Oh, now, right? I see. Right,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I'll take you when you turn up on time.
Oh,
right?
God.
So 5 times in a row.
I'm not getting that holiday, am I?
Right. So first one, strength and training philosophy. If strength training didn't improve your physique at all, would you still do it? Why or why not?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, me.
Yeah, good call. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes people, why I asked that one is because I knew how quick you'd answer it. And I'm obviously the same way.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would hesitate there. Which is a shame.
Without a doubt. Absolutely. Yeah. Because people see that, unfortunately, so many people see training and like, let's say the gym as a one-way ticket to a better physique.
Right.
And maybe that's because they're chasing, I don't know, could be chasing increased self-confidence or whatever that maybe they think comes with looking better. But absolutely. You're like, because I've been on the opposite end, like, of course, I'm by no means strong by your standard or anything like that, but I've been on the opposite end of the spectrum where literally I've been weak as piss. And I can't tell you the difference in like just feeling relatively strong that you can go and do things. Like, I guess it's astounding,
That just not having to worry about doing basic things.
Yeah, and just you're physically capable of doing more.
Yeah.
As someone said to me, somebody messaged, they were asking about some things. A guy who's struggling with, he said his legs are in pieces like for like a couple of days after a football match, and he's like 31 or 32, and he's like, you're in ridiculous condition for your age, and I'm like, all right, thanks, I appreciate it and all that, but it's like the only reason I don't feel in pieces after playing football or whatever is just as a nature of what my body is capable of. So what you do it through training. So like, who did I hear saying this? I think it was Gary Neville actually was talking on maybe the Overlap, and he was saying like what you do training should be making other things, like making games feel easier. And that's it. So like your training should feel hard. That's what, if your training is hard, it's like stressing your body, but then it makes everyday things feel easy, And that's just what I think about having a body that is relatively strong.
Well, that's it. Yeah, and you could expand that to all competitive, like sports and stuff like that. Talking about powerlifters again, I'm picking on them a bit today, I know, but you know, the people that like are unconditioned for like comp day and stuff. I'm like, that, yeah, you're maxing out on singles, but
Yeah.
to be honest, that should be a pretty, like, yeah, it's hard in a different way for sure, but you shouldn't be gassed out halfway through the competition.
Yeah,
Like, you should be fit enough
Yeah.
to be able to handle that. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a different one. What's one commonly accepted training principle that you secretly think is overrated?
One commonly accepted training principle. I don't know. I could. I don't know if you'd say it's. Yeah, I guess you could say it's commonly accepted, and my knowledge on that has changed based on conversations with you, which is RPE. You know, because I can remember when I personal training, and I would go through the RPE skill with clients, and I'd be like, this is what this, and you should be aiming at this, and I'd have a new client in who's fairly new to training, and I'd be like, give me a number on that squat or that deadlift or that whatever you did, like how hard did it feel? Well, asking a beginner what their RPE scale is, they're probably going to go to, yeah, that felt like a 10.
Yeah.
Whereas in reality, they probably had another 10 reps in the tank. So yeah, I'd probably say
like
that.
People often use the argument of like, they'll say, oh, what did that look like to you, right? And then people will say, it doesn't matter what it looks like to anybody else, it matters what it felt like to you. But I would go beyond that and say it doesn't even, like, your feelings about how hard that was, that also doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because objectively, it's impossible for you to truly know how far you're pushing closer to failure, right? And unless you try, you've got to try, and you just got to see objectively the data and beating the previous workout or the previous month or whatever it might be. Outside of that, there is nothing else. Like, that's all that matters. When we boil it down to its simplest form, that's all that matters. Are the numbers moving up over time? And if they're not, something's wrong. And if they are, something's right. Great job.
Yeah, spot on.
So yeah, I would say RP is a big one. I would probably say training variety for me. I think, yeah, again, like
But people who think training variety is a good thing. You mean, or
a lot of training variety, like doing a bunch of different stuff over and over and over again, like. And that's one thing about me. I'm pretty consistent, with my ideas and stuff, and like I'm telling you guys, like, listening to this, like, if you want to go nowhere and just run around in circles, do a bunch of different exercises, and change it every 3 weeks, and see how far you get.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, it's just,
it
doesn't make sense, does it? Really?
I used to do that. I train in 3 week like mesocycles. Like every 3 weeks, everything would change. Like all different new exercises, different rep ranges, all this stuff. It got me nowhere really fast, But I'm trying, like, when I try and look at it objectively if I can. Like if it doesn't work, well, I'm not gonna let my ego get in the way of like denying that. That obviously doesn't work, so that's why I changed my approach really quickly. But I was there, I was doing it, I just wasn't getting anywhere. This one actually got asked to me, so I put in here. If you could go back in time and change just one thing about how you trained when you started, what would it be?
Yeah, are you answering?
Go on, you.
Oh,
you
me.
This is for you, mate.
Oh, right, okay. So for me,
you're the special one
right,
today.
I'm the special one, mate. Jose Mourinho. Right, I would certainly spend less time, and like obviously, when I say less time doing cardio, I don't mean like cardio is a bad thing, but I was just overly invested in cardio, just doing way too much cardio. Which you get fitter. But like,
but do you think you lost a bunch of like muscle mass and all of that as well?
Oh yeah, I mean, when I was really obsessed with it, I lost a ton of less, like literally as much muscle mass as I probably could have, and to still be physically alive.
Right.
And lost any kind of like level of athleticism. Like I've always been fast since, Christ, my first day in sports day in school, where I came second and I was in tears because I didn't win. So I've always been like naturally quick and stuff. And when I did this and I got into that realm of just obsessed cardio. Like any form of speed or explosive power had just left my body.
Right.
Like I had none of it.
Your fibers literally changed to an extent.
I could run for ages at like I think it was like 20 kilometers an hour, and I was pretty much still felt like aerobic. Like my heart rate was so conditioned, I could do that for a long time. So
Right.
like an elite, not an elite, but like a very good distance runner. But that wasn't what I wanted to be. But that is what I had trained my body to be by doing so much cardio.
Right.
And I see some people who play football and they're out, they play a game of football and the next day they're out running 10K. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, that is not benefiting you to become a better football player. You do not need that insane amount of aerobic endurance. And if you're capable of doing that, you're probably not, exerting yourself as you could be in a game.
Absolutely. And also as well, at that point is all maintenance anyway, isn't it? Like what you're doing running a 10K in season.
Yeah.
And the actual sport specific skill, is going to get you that anyway, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That aerobic endurance. Like, I was programming for one of my clients. She's into like cycling and all that sort of stuff. And, part of the aerobic stuff, all I've put in there is skill specific work.
Yeah.
So it's literally just all the stuff that they'll be doing, obviously in the cycles and all of that. Was covering the
Conditions your body for the demands of that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's it. And so it's like, for me, like I said, doing too much cardio and then, not investing enough in making my body stronger and more powerful.
Right,
And like faster, and which is like, that's all I crave nowadays.
Yeah.
So I'm like well late to the party with that. Probably really not until my, I guess, early 30s did I actually start. Well,
so you wish you did a lot more like barbell work and stuff.
Just that, and just the kind of stuff I do now,
Like
stuff
plyos.
Plyos, sprints, stuff I've done with ATG, improving my strength and mobility. So like I said, well late to the party, but trying to make up for it now in my 40s, being like as athletic as I can be, I guess. So
do you want to check that? Is that going to run out, do you reckon, or can we leave it?
no, we can. Yeah, it's got like 50 gigabytes.
We can leave it. That's all right then. All right. Okay. Right, I'm going to move on because I didn't like the other ones that I've done there, actually. Coaching a mindset. Right, this is going to make you think, this one.
All right.
What's one lesson your clients have taught you about training or life?
And I've got to answer this, so you're not going to answer this one.
I'll have a think. I'll have a think about this,
I guess,
it makes you think, doesn't it?
something off the top of my head is to be understanding and resonate as well with people, because something that I can do and I think is maybe easy or should just be a given, like some people don't have the same, they're not invested in the same way, they don't see the level of importance, and so it's being like that. It's just being more understanding and having more empathy towards people.
So what, before maybe you just thought this is how everybody should kind of operate?
Yeah, whether it's eating a certain way, or, having that drive in a training session. Some people just, they don't necessarily really want to be doing it. They don't get excited going into train. Like you and I would go on holidays and love training, don't we? Some people absolutely don't want to be doing that, but they will go and train, and they'll maybe have a coach because they know it's good for them. It's benefiting their body, their health, so they'll go and do it. But they don't really love it. So sometimes, they could be dealing with some outside things like work, whatever, that cause them stress, and they come into a training session and they maybe just not got that drive, and you sat there like looking at them as a coach and thinking, why are you giving up so easy? But it's, I guess, being empathetic that some people may be struggling with things, and then this isn't like the highlight of their day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think as a coach, you should be there to resonate with them, but also try and make it a highlight of their day.
For sure. Yeah, that's a really good one, mate. That's a really good one, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. I'm trying to think of mine. That would be definitely one I could attest to. The one I think probably for me has taught me a lot about like working in a people-based job.
Yeah.
Obviously, I interact with a lot of people all the time, and I think it's made me aware of the spectrum of humanity, if that makes sense. Like,
In what respect?
like, so all of my guys now that I train, and I'm not just saying this, like they're just incredible people, you
Yeah.
know, incredible people. I'm really lucky to coach the people that I do.
But don't you think, like, part of that is you attract that kind of person based on your personality yourself?
I think, yeah, probably it's taken time though
Yeah.
as well, because I've had to, you know, like, just,
Go
like
through
go
some
through
shit.
some shit. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely to have the community that I
Yeah.
have now.
But that's probably, that's like, I get you, but that's also a testament to like your personality, how you coach and things, isn't it, as well? So,
well, I appreciate that, but yeah, it's true. Like, it's made me aware of that for sure. You know,
yeah.
like, because I've had some real eye openers, to say the least.
dickheads.
Yeah. Like moments where your jaw's like on the floor, like you're like, what? You know, not just like people, like, you know, for instance, like interactions on calls with people, and,
Yeah.
you know, sales calls and stuff like that, and you realize like what is morally kind of acceptable for you, like for someone else, or like not morally acceptable, morally kind of like it's a given. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you don't have to think about, because you've got a moral compass. For some other people, it's like it doesn't even they don't care. You know,
No.
like courtesy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's made me a lot more aware of how I treat other people as well, you know. Because, yeah, I've eaten a lot of shit,
Yeah.
put it that way, over the last 5-6
Yeah,
years. Any entrepreneur can tell you, like, you're constantly eating shit.
Yeah,
And it
but-
does get a little bit better over time, but you're taking L's daily, you
Yeah.
know? And so I think that's one thing it's made me aware of, is like the spectrum of humanity and how grateful I am when I come across people like my clients or friends, whoever it might be, how I'm even more grateful for those people, because it's like, it's made me realize actually not everybody is this way.
Yeah, that's great.
If that
Yeah,
makes sense,
yeah.
you know? Anyway, so I thought that was a good question. So what's harder, training people who have never lifted before, or fixing the bad habits of experienced lifters?
You're going to be better at that than because you'll work with people who are
Both.
and advanced and stuff as well.
I would say probably experienced lifters is harder, because they, like, you're working with a clean slate when someone comes to you. Yeah, there's obviously certain challenges that you have, but you can work through them if you know what you're doing. You can regress it and stuff like that. So I would definitely say working with someone new is easier than someone who's more advanced.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
definitely agree. Yeah, because it's ingrained, isn't it? It's like whatever, you know.
It is. It's
Someone
ingrained.
spent a
It's
long
hard.
time doing that, moving in that certain way.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult. Okay. Right, now we get into the serious stuff. This is the deep questions, right?
Is this something about like,
Come on,
food or
James.
something now?
You,
Is it?
you need to enlighten me, right?
All right.
What's something you learned from lifting that has nothing to do with lifting? These questions are hard
Yeah,
hitting.
they're deep, aren't they? Yeah.
James, your brain's going to be frazzled going home, mate.
What's something I've learned from lifting that is nothing about lifting?
Yeah, nothing to do with lifting. So like a lesson or takeaway, right? Something that you've got from it that isn't necessarily about lifting, but is something different entirely, but has helped you as a byproduct.
I guess probably having being more self-assured and having more self-confidence in what you can physically do.
Right, okay.
I guess. No?
Yeah.
Just I guess being more self-assured in a way.
Right, yeah. And how's it done that? Therapy with Sam.
Sam. I don't know. I don't know. It just breeds, I guess, a level of self-confidence when you can do something. There's something you want to do and you achieve it. I don't know. Because like I was very shy, introverted, I guess pessimistic in many ways. But when you achieve something, it just, I don't know, makes you feel good, and that you can do something else.
What was the first thing you did that made you feel like you achieved something?
What's the first thing?
No, it was the first thing
just
that
different
you did.
things. It's like just
That you thought you were like good at, maybe.
just like with physical things, like obviously, like, you know, we're both super competitive when it comes to like something like, I don't know,
Still
physically.
survive in the jungle
It's
longer
just
than
like,
you.
yeah,
Right,
just
carry
like, you know, I will back myself to beat people on certain things. Not like,
Yeah.
if you put me in a frigging squat competition with you, I'm not going to. Like, put me in a race, I'll back myself, you know. But just different things, you know. Yeah.
Right, okay. For me, I'd probably say discipline. For me, like, it's taught me discipline.
Yeah.
You know, in the same way
But didn't you have that anyway? Wouldn't you have said you had that anyway or not? Or is it more so through?
I don't know. I don't know if I always. Yeah, maybe rugby as well. Probably. You know, I think I've always had it because I've always been doing something like that. You know,
Yeah.
whether it's rugby or lifting or wherever it is. I think it's maybe reinforced that for me. You know, I think I think everybody has a superpower.
Yeah.
For me, I can just keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I just don't like I can stay at that same level
Yeah.
and not like it can be boring as heck or whatever, and I can just keep going. You know,
You could like raw dog it on a plane, then, couldn't you?
raw dog it on a plane.
Isn't it when they
What do you mean?
when you just
Explain.
you just sit there? I saw Haaland do it, or he said he did it, and you just sit there like no entertainment on, so like
Right.
no music, no like TV if there's one, you know, if you're on a long haul flight or anything, and like no book, nothing. You just sit there and just, you know, just
I
just
don't
look
know
at the
if I could
headrest.
do that. That
Yeah,
sounds like a psychopath to me. Like, but what I mean is like you give me the same, like, you tell me, right, you need to do this to get this outcome, and like I can just detach myself.
So when you did the photo shoot, though, isn't it? Prime example.
Yes,
You know, just
yeah.
like diet down, do the training, do the diet. You know, you're not like, oh, fuck. Oh, I'm so like, I want to go and eat like all the cake, and you know,
Yeah.
I'm bored of this, or I'm just like, I'm too tired to train. You just go and do it.
Which I've had to work on there a bit myself,
Yeah.
working with people, because it can, like you were saying
It's
with
like
your
another
first
point,
one,
isn't it? Yeah, having
like
empathy with people who can't just.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
I've had to really work on that myself. You know, I've had a couple of issues before with like Lainey and stuff where she's like wants a bit more empathy from me, and I'm just like, well, why don't you just do it?
Do it.
You know?
Yeah.
Because my brain isn't like,
Yeah.
I'm just, that's the way I work.
Yeah.
Like, you tell me I need to do something, it's gonna happen, and it's coming fast.
Yeah.
You know, like I just think, right, here are the steps. This is
Yeah, this is the road to the destination.
and
So you
I
just follow
need to
the
do
route.
it.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably my thing. It's taught me. I know yours is gonna be. If you could only train one person for the rest of your career, who would it be and why? Sam. Okay.
Cristiano Ronaldo. Job done.
I knew you were going to say Cristiano.
Yeah.
It's almost actually a pointless question for you,
It
actually.
is a pointless question, yeah.
You know?
I can't think of anyone else, like, just because like I'm such a fanboy, aren't I? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it would be Ronaldo for you, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
There's nobody that could deter you from that decision. Nobody at all.
No, because he's like for me my ultimate idol and like athlete that I've like looked up to most. You know,
Right.
Used to be other people and stuff, and like don't get me wrong, I massively have like all the respect for people like Usain Bolt, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, like absolute like goats in their sport. But Ronaldo, just for me, is just on like another level, and probably like. You know, growing up, I watched him bring like so much success and pleasure to my life, winning titles for United. So,
Whose mine would be?
Mike Tyson.
Messi.
Yeah.
What I would be?
Oh, you kidding me?
I'd be Messi.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess you like taking second best, don't you?
How do you rile Jims up this very conversation? Right.
Who's yours then? Go on. You didn't answer.
Who'd mine be? Oh man. It's hard. I don't really have any sports people. I
No, but
look-
it could be anyone. Could be like a famous singer. It could be an actor. It doesn't even have to be a famous person. It could be, just someone you'd love to see get in the gym, for example, to start training.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Someone I'd like to train for the rest of my life.
Or even not if it's the rest of your life. Let's just say an experience training them.
I don't know. I
Some
don't
know-it-all powerlifter who thinks...
Yeah, I'm a know it. That's it. Yeah, I honestly, I don't really have someone that I don't know.
stands out.
Yeah, I don't. I
Yeah.
don't. Maybe someone in my family.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I mean.
I
So
want to
it's
help.
like, that's what I mean. That you could, like, for me, I'd love to be able to get like my family to not train as I do, but be committed to it in a similar
Yeah.
way to see the value.
It'd be cool training Lainey to see like how far she could
Yeah,
take it. You know, or
I
like,
can see she'd definitely be stronger than you, pound for pound.
do you reckon?
Oh
so?
yeah. Just
Oh, right,
2
you
years and
think-
she'd be smashing. it.
2 years.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's it. 2 years.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, right. Okay. 2 years. Okay. She did. Do you know what? If that happened, that would light a fire up underneath my arse. Like I would be. Think I'm intense now.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Like the competition in the house. I just start cutting back on her food just when I'm cooking it, just so she's at a disadvantage.
Not
You know?
recovering well,
Oh
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I'm getting most of the protein
Yeah.
today. Anyway, right, we'll wrap this up in a bit. Maybe a couple more. If you could be the best in the world at something other than lifting, or football in your case, because I know it's obvious, isn't it? Football. You're going to say football.
All right.
What would it be?
Be the fastest man alive.
Would it be
Yeah, 100%.
the fastest man alive?
Yeah, like that is such a flex. To be like, I am the fastest man on the planet.
Not like heavy. You wouldn't want to be like, I don't know, heavyweight champion of the world.
No, not at
or
all, because that can, obviously you could lose a race and you could be classed as, not the fastest, but
you give a part of yourself.
you could,
yeah.
like, for example, a world champion, obviously you've got to be really good to get there, but anyone can have, like, an off day and someone can have a lucky punch and knock you out and win the title. To be the fastest man alive, you have had to commit, obviously, years to it, and you're going to have to set in a hell of a time. And once you've set that time, like, that record is there for life, that PB. No one can ever take that away for you. So
Right.
you could be 90 years of age. You can tell your grandkids or whatever, I used to be able to run 100 meters or whatever in like 9 point something. Like, that's incredible. I
Right.
think. So,
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I don't know what mine would be. I think, yeah, probably something. If I wasn't doing this, I'd probably be doing MMA or something like
Yeah.
that, definitely. There is the argument, though, that you are giving a piece of yourself, when you are doing that, I think rugby as well, probably, obviously I grew up wanting to become a professional rugby player, you
Yeah.
know, and representing Wales and, being able to sing the anthem, and that would be pretty cool as
You
well.
could probably
So,
still get on the pitch now, couldn't you, based on current...
I admit, a couple of people have
performances.
said, they were like, that. Well, oh yeah, I know I mean, it's awful at the moment, but people have said, come on, give
Go
it
and have a
another
game,
go.
see
Yeah,
that, yeah.
so you because especially now, it'd be interesting.
Would you go into the same position that you were playing then or not?
I think probably.
You
Like
would,
a couple
yeah,
of
yeah.
people would say, oh, you could be a hooker or something, but no, I wouldn't be a...
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you'd be like, wouldn't it? Compared to, and like how you'd feel physically.
Oh, well, it's completely different.
because obviously, yeah.
Because when I was playing towards the end of when I stopped, I was probably about 76 kilograms.
Were you?
And I was about I was fast.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was my game.
Yeah.
But physically, I held up at 76 kilos.
Yeah,
or
so you wouldn't be as dominating on the pitch in terms of like then as you would be now, nowhere near.
Yeah, no one like now I'm about 93.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, back then I was like squatting 150 if I was lucky.
God, you'd be going to rucks, wouldn't you? And you'd just be throwing people
Like
over your head. Just
now I'm
picking
at
the ball up.
245.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, like the power. I was saying to Lainey, sometimes I just stand there doing the dishes in the kitchen, and I just feel so powerful. I just feel like I'm full of force. And I just think, God, I do wonder. What type of like output I have. Now.
Yeah.
Like,
you wouldn't fancy like NFL. You wouldn't fancy trying, not NFL, but like American football.
oh no, I'm 5'8" NFL player. Well, they do have them as a running back or whatever they call them, don't they? Is that right? Running back?
I think they'd be running backs, because running backs got to be quick and obviously like powerful, So,
but no, I'm so committed to my powerlifting stuff, and I'm not competing, but I'm building in the gym, and we'll see what happens with it. But no, I do think that at times, like, what could I be like? You know? But anyway, should we leave that one there?
Yeah, you don't fancy one come out of retirement game, one night only, you're going to just blaze it
could
up on the
hurt
pitch.
myself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's such a tough game. Like, someone blindsides you, or like, mate, we were talking about that downstairs, to Kelly and Geraint. I was saying, like, I played from when I was 12 through to 20, and people say, oh, you obviously retired yet, which I did for most rugby players at 20. But I was still playing for 8 years before then. People say about contact, didn't do that at 12. We were.
Yeah.
We were doing contact stuff. Yeah. So I was doing contact stuff like maybe 3-4 times a week, obviously, when you include training, games and all of that. Obviously, you'd have periods off, minimum once a week, a game. And doing that for 8 years. And yeah, the amount of problems or injuries I've had through that
takes a toll on your body.
It takes its toll. Like I was there was many reasons I stopped playing rugby, and I found lifting and powerlifting, and I preferred it. But one of the big reasons, I watched Concussion, the film with Will Smith.
Yeah.
And it had a bit of an impact on me because up until that point, I've never been knocked out, but I've certainly had a good several concussions, where I've had white lights, like the ringing in my ears, and it's not good. It's not good. Like, I've got up out of a tackle once and I'm running in the wrong direction, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, I wanted to cut that out soon, sooner rather than later, because I prioritize my being able to speak clearly,
longevity in
life. And in NFL, of course, it's coming out at the moment. Of course, all these CTE stuff, but NFL is such a big sport in comparison to rugby.
Yeah.
It's the same repercussions, but it just doesn't get talked enough about in rugby. It's starting to a bit more now, with head stuff, but like, that's why Sam Warburton stopped at 29.
Is that, yeah.
He like, same deal, right? Like, people say, oh, you retired early. Well, he's probably playing since he was a similar age, about 12, and you chucked into it. So, I would say probably rugby, but I wouldn't, because of the head trauma, and all of that. So, but anyway, should we wrap that one up there?
Go on, son, I'll let you do this one.
Oh, you're going to let me?
I'll let you do
I like the way you phrased that, by the way. Go on, I tell you what, I'll let you do this one. Okay?
You're taking it like that? Okay.
I'll let you do this one.
All right, boy, I'll take it then.
Dave, don't call me boy. The most disrespectful thing ever. We were talking about this the other day, when people call someone else boy and it's like a grown man, It's the most disrespectful thing you can do. Or call someone sunshine.
Sunshine, I called you that one before.
The sunshine, that's it. You're going to change my contact to sunshine. That's what you're going to do.
All right, guys, if you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review, and we'll catch you in the next one. Boom.
I like it.